Senator Mwenda Kataya Mofaya. I can see you are fully armed to prosecute your motion.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopt the report of committee on delegated legislation on social health insurance and general regulations 2024, legal notice number 48 of 2024, and the social health insurance tribunal procedure rules 2024, legal notice number 49 of 2024, read on the table of the House on Wednesday, 20th of March 2024, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 15(1) of the Statutory Instruments 2013 and starting under 195(4)(b, announce the same regulations. Honorable Speaker, the Senate Select Committee on Delegated Legislation is established under standing order number 195(1) of the Senate standing orders with the powers to utilize statutory instruments submitted to the House and ensure that they are consistent with the Constitution of Kenya and other acts of Parliament. The committee is expected to consider in respect of statutory instruments whether it is in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution, the Act pursuant to which it is made, or other relevant written laws. Honorable Speaker, I want to give you an overview of the Social Health Insurance General Regulations 2024, legal notice number 48 of 2024, and the Social Health Insurance Tribunal Procedure Rules 2024, legal notice number 49 of 2024. Honorable Speaker, allow me to highlight some of the provisions of the Social Health Insurance General Regulations 2024, legal notice number 49 of 2024, and the Social Health Insurance Tribunal Procedure Rules 2024, legal notice number 48 of 2024. The regulations may be cried as the regulation may be cited as the Social Health Insurance General Regulations 2004 and the Social Health Insurance Tribunal Procedure Rules 2004. The Cabinet Secretary for Health has laid on the powers conferred by Section 50 of the Social Health Insurance Act number 16 of 2004 and Section 44(6) of the Social Health Insurance Act to make and publish the regulations and the rules respectively. Honorable Speaker, the Social Insurance General Regulations 2004 are intended to provide for, among others, the implementation of the Primary Health Fund, the Social Health Insurance Fund, and the Emergency Chronic and Critical Illness Fund established in the Act. The regulations also provide for the mandatory registration of every person resident in Kenya pursuant to Section 26(1) of the Act and the mode of payment contributions pursuant to Section 27(1) and 2 of the Act. Honorable Speaker, the Social Health Insurance Tribunal Procedure Rules 2004, on the other hand, intends to provide for the Dispute Resolution Tribunal as established under Section 44 of the Social Health Insurance Fund, Act 2023, for the purpose of hearing and determining complaints, disputes, appeals arising from the Act. Honorable Speaker, the Social Health Insurance General Regulation 2024 and the Social Health Insurance Tribunal Procedure Rules 2024 was submitted to the Senate by the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Health, on 8th of March 2024 and tabled before the House on 20th of March 2024. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Section 16 of the Statutory Instruments Act, the committee invited the Cabinet Secretary for Health, the Council of Governors, the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, alongside the Kenya Medical Association on that 23rd of May, to a stakeholder engagement to discuss the two regulations. Only the Council of Governors and the Kenya Medical Association attended the meeting, Honorable Speaker. The Cabinet Secretary requested the committee to schedule another meeting as she was away on official duty during the 23rd May 2024 meeting. The committee agreed to meet with the Cabinet Secretary on another date, but resolved to engage the two stakeholders who attended. The Council of Governors and the Kenya Medical Association raised concerns on the readiness of the Ministry of Health to implement the regulations by commencement date of 1st of July 2024. The two stakeholders pointed out that while it was a few weeks before the commencement of the regulations, the ministry had not procured a system with a centralized digital platform that will onboard all services and service providers. The implementation of the Digital Act 2024 ought to have preceded that of the Social Health Insurance Act 2024 in order to provide an infrastructure on which the latter would be based on. B, the authority had not carried out means testing to determine contributions that will be paid by households whose income is not derived from the salaried employment. C, As required in Regulation 18.4 of the Social Health Insurance General, Regulation 24, the regulations, the authority in consultations with the Cabinet Secretary responsible for cooperative, micro, small and medium enterprises and development and other financing institutions was to provide premium financing to non-salaried people to enable them pay the annual contributions within the intervals under which their income becomes available. Given that premium financing is alone, the ministry couldn't clarify how this was implementable on people who are not salaried. The authority had not conducted nationwide registration of contributors and beneficiaries. Regulation that one of the Social Health Insurance General Regulations, which provides that the accreditation of health providers and the Act shall be done by a body responsible for accreditation to the established Act under the Act, contradicts Section 33 of the Act by providing that the empowerment and the accreditation of health care providers under the Act shall be done by the Social Health Authority. The body has not been established, rendering the procedure of empowerment and accreditation of health providers not clear. Other anomalies pointed out during the stakeholders' engagement included the benefits package and tariffs advisory panel established under Regulations 41. 2 of the Social Health Insurance and General Regulations ought to have been established in the Social Health Insurance Act and not subsidiary registration. G, the lack of justification for the membership of the benefits package and tariffs advisory panel. The ministry could not clarify on the choice of the local public university to nominate the chairperson, the nationwide, the rationale of having a public university nominate the chairperson, the inclusion of the development partners in a legal body to determine benefits under the funds from Kenya contributions, which raises the issue of sovereignty and conflict of interest between the development partners, mother states, and Kenya, at the rationale, including ENET, given not all NGOs in the health sector are registered with ENET, as well as the rationale and choice of including a local public university instead of the authority to constitute the Joint Secretariat under Regulation 43. H, the tariffs to determine the benefits to be enjoyed by contributors and beneficiaries were not ready and therefore not provided in the regulations. There is cross-referencing in the regulations with provisions that did not exist in the parent act, that is the Social Health Insurance Act, for instance, primary care network, which is the regulations, are not in the parent act. The rationale behind the registration of minors, with which in the stakeholders' opinion was unnecessary, being that they are already dependents. The social authority, in the stakeholders' opinion, ought to use data already captured by the National Health Insurance Fund, NHIF. The regulation did not provide for verification of doctors' registration details. There was need, therefore, to provide a portal for doctors to verify their details. Honorable Speaker, due to the serious matter of urgency of regulations which were to enable the implementation of the Social Health Insurance Act to commence on 1st of July, the committee met with the Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services on Wednesday, 19th June 2024, and various issues with regard to the regulations were raised, particularly on the lack of detailed evidence of public participation and the unavailability of a schedule to the regulations with the tariffs. During the meeting, Honorable Speaker, the Principal Secretary responded to some of these issues raised by the Council of Governors and the Kenya Medical Association. Notably, the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Health, did not engage with the committee on these regulations, Honorable Speaker. And the rules, despite having been invited on 3 different occasions for a meeting with the committee, the Cabinet Secretary sent letters explaining an availability dated 22nd May 2024, 18th June 2024, and 21st June 2024. So on those 3 consecutive dates, Honorable Speaker, the committee sat and drew these findings. Having examined the regulations against the Constitution and other relevant laws, the committee observed the following, Honorable Speaker. Article 10 states that the national values and principles of governance bind all state organs, state officers, public officers, and all other persons whenever they enact any law or make public policy decisions. Article 10(2)(a) further lists public participation as being one of the national values and principles of governance. In the explanatory memorandum forwarded to the committee, the Cabinet Secretary stated that the ministry called for submissions from the public and the stakeholders from private entities as well as public officers and members of the public. B, Article 43(1) of the Constitution of Kenya 2020 provides for the right of every person to be the highest attainable standard of health, which includes the right to health care services, including reproductive health care, to accessible and adequate housing, and to reasonable standards of sanitation, to be free from hunger, and to have adequate food for acceptable quality, to clean and safe water in adequate quantities, to social security, and to education. Article 43(2)(3) provides that every person shall not be denied emergency medical treatment, and that shall provide appropriate social security to persons who are unable to support themselves and their dependents. The regulations were intended to create a framework for the implementation of the Social Insurance Act to advance the realization of socio-economic rights under Article 43(1). Another observation, Honorable Speaker, was the legislative power was delegated under an Act of Parliament, that is the Social Health Insurance Act 2023, which delegates the regulations making power to the Cabinet in dealing with matters of health in the country. The above, notwithstanding, Honorable Speaker, the fourth schedule of the Constitution indicates that provision of primary health care is a devolved function, while the national government, through the Ministry of Health, retains the role of the policy making and implementation under its mandate. The regulations are limited to the implementation of the Social Health Insurance Act. Based on this reason, there was need for the regulations and rules to take notice of the importance of the county government as key pillars for implementation of such regulations to the public at the county level, Honorable Speaker. Moreover, the committee could not ascertain and verify from the documentary response in industry the extent to which the input from the counties through the Council of Governors submissions during public participation and other stakeholders engagement were considered and incorporated into the final regulations. Honorable Speaker, another observation was that the regulations were in line with the Section 5 and 5A of the Statutory Instruments Act 23, which Act requires the regulation-making body to consult persons who are likely to be affected by an instrument. The ministry presented an explanatory memorandum which explained that consultations were carried out, the scope, the outcome of such consultations, the changes made on the legislation after the public consultations, and it also explained the purpose of the legislation and the rules. The regulatory impact statement, that is the RIS, was provided to accompany the regulatory for parliamentary scrutiny as required under Section 6, 7, and 8 of the Statutory Instruments Act. However, the ministry in its submissions failed to explain the financial implications of the application of the rules and the regulations of the public and why means of achieving the objective of instruments were not considered. And the rules having been invited on 3 different occasions, I think there's a mix-up somewhere. Honorable Speaker, having gone through these provisions, the committee sat down and drew quite a number of recommendations. Mr. Speaker, based on the observations made, the Select Committee on Delegated Legislation therefore makes the following recommendations. After careful consideration of the Social Health Insurance General Regulations and the Social Health Insurance Tribunal Procedure Laws 2024, pursuant to Section 18 of the Statutory Instruments and starting under 195(4)(b), the Select Committee on Delegated Legislation does not accede to the Social Health Insurance Regulations and the legal notice number instruments be annulled. With those remarks, Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that this House announce the Social Health Insurance General Regulations and the Social Health Insurance Tribunal